There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another lunchtime learning session here on CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. And today our midweek session is going to be focused on a relatively new brand. Well, it's not relatively. It is a new brand here for our Canadian landscape anyhow, and it's being brought to Canada through BB Distribution. The brand is a DSP brand called Musway. From what I understand, Musway stands for Music is the Way. It's been making a lot of headway over in Europe, and now is being distributed and available for our Canadian retailers. So, when I first heard about BB Distribution picking up a new line of DSP and DSP amplifiers, it certainly had my curiosity piqued. Known for their other great brands such as Ground Zero and Sound Digital and of course Focal, my expectations are somewhat high, because if this is the DSP brand and amplifier brand that they're going to put on, showcase to match with those other components, then it better back itself up. So the person that's going to verify that for us is none other than, of course, the national trainer. I probably introduce him with different titles every time, but anyhow, you guys know him as Justin Bond from BB Distribution. Justin?
Hey man, how you doing?
Did I get your title right? I feel like I say something different every time I bring it.
Yeah, there's lots of them. Just Justin's fine. Just
the man,
the guy, the guy's fine.
That guy. So this one I was pretty interested in when we talked about scheduling this particular show. We had an opportunity to kind of briefly go over an introductory kind of session to the brand back during Industry Week. And I'm really hoping that we get a little bit more of a deep dive and more of a perspective now that you've actually had some time to play with it, I'm sure.
Totally.
And give the audience, our dealers, a feel for what BB Distribution is backing as their DSP amplifier lineup.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, we did the whole Moscone Gladen thing, which is awesome product, but we no longer do that. And then when Moscone Gladen kind of left us, we kind of had a hole to fill, right? That being high dollar, high quality sound quality amplifiers and DSP integrated amplifiers and standalone DSP. We really did a lot with the aerospace and stuff like that when we started. And it was our match for when we got into that higher end Focal type stuff. So that's one of the reasons that originally kind of led us into Ground Zero. If you watched any other things, was that amplifiers, and they also had some DSP stuff too. But the DSP was just not as kind of complex or complete.
It's also standalone only. Standalone
yeah,
only.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's still channel limited for a little bit. And when you're going up against, companies like Moscone and Helix, Helix Brax and Audison, 3 years ago you talked about where DSP was in Canada, and for me, DSP has always been like this myth throughout Canada that every dealer seems to really want to get into and every dealer really wants to do, right? But not every dealer is kind of at that point where they A, know how to sell it, B, know how to use it, right? Or kind of that combination of both, right?
Tuning it is
exactly right. And everyone always wants to get to that tuning step. Everyone wants to do the tuning of the car. Everyone wants to flatten that EQ. But there's so much stuff that goes on in between that, the kind of A to DSP part. You know what I mean? That right?
I like
hashtag
that.
Coin, trademark.
Yep. Coin, done.
Yeah, that a lot of dealers miss, right? And companies have done lots of things inside within the DSPs to make things easy, and to kind of help fast track a lot of that steps, whether it has like a built-in analyzer, etc. But for us, when we kind of were slowly introduced to Musway, it was like, wow, this lineup's pretty cool. When it comes down to the function of the standalone DSP, it's really the ability to offer a really high power, high quality DSP at a really attractive price point, because the DSP is sort of kind of based, maybe I would say, a little bit more on the installer's know-how than a lot of the kind of gadgets and gadgets within the software. So I mean, none of the Musway software has a built-in RTA, right? So it's going in under the understanding that as a shop at that level, when you're getting into this kind of stuff, when you're doing a 12-channel system, when you're doing stuff like that, ideally you would just have some sort of RTA within the building, whether it's an old audio control piece, if it's a new audio, you know what I mean, some type of analyzer, right? Because that all comes down into the function of, regardless of what kind of DSP you're using, that RTA is a necessity for steps 1, 2, 3, 4 before you even get to the DSP. So that's kind of what was really attractive to us when it came down to this, and not to mention, just like I said, the way that it markets itself, the kind of price points that it hits on the retail side, the dealer side, and the fit, finish, and quality, as well as the kind of amount of stuff that was in their lineup and the way that they're kind of gearing forward. Musway is a really cool, it's a new company. The website is musway.de if anyone wants to check it out. Now, the brand itself was formed from a company called Audio Design. And Audio Design GmbH out of Germany is the company that does the development of the product, all the R&D of the product. It is manufactured overseas in China, right? But once again, it's done with the highest quality control, the best componentry, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. Now, Audio Design is like one of the companies that kind of originated like Hiphonics back in the day. They've been around forever. They're also a distributor of like high-end audio gear, and they're, Musway's in IRMA, it's in ISA, it's in all the shows in overseas in Europe and all that kind of stuff. So they're very, very connected to the industry. So when we had the ability from a great partner, Stephen Bach, who's in the United States, that he couldn't be here today, he would be on, you guys may have seen him on the Live Expo, to kind of partner with this. He says, hey, why don't you guys check this out? And then you see Gary Bell at Define Concepts using stuff like this, and you see the popularity of Musway, starting to blow up over the United States. For us, we were really excited to be able to get our hands on it. Right. So and so far, like I said, it's really brand new. It is the most brand new product that we have. But the dealers that have used it, that are willing to step outside of their box or their comfort zone, have been pleasantly surprised, and it seems to be taking off quite well.
Okay, so I want to offer you my first impressions.
Please.
Before we get into the
hit
rest
me with it.
I'm going to hit you with a couple things. Number one, I think you nailed it on the head when you're talking about the category, because I'll tell you, from the content that we're throwing up on CMA and all the the sessions that we do, multi-channel DSP integrated amps is a hot ticket right now.
Yep.
It is a hot category. Consumers are starting to be aware of this category. I'm not saying that the traditional 4-channel plus a 2-channel or mono, that's not it. It is, but if you're asking me where it's headed, multi-channel DSP integration category for me is where it's headed, and Musway nails it as far as the offering in that category. That's number one. Number two, the look. I didn't even seen this yet. This is the first time I'm actually looking at the product right here in front of you. And the box, everything about it, the way it looks slick. And if you're telling me it's coming in at an attractive price point, wow, that puts a lot of stuff in its favor from a shop perspective. Mm-hmm. The last thing I'm going to wait to comment on, but I just want to touch on real quick, is the offering. So we're talking standalone DSPs.
Yep.
We're talking integrated DSP amplifiers.
Mm-hmm.
Standalone amplifiers.
Yep.
Monoblocks.
Yep.
And different accessories /device/controllers to go with.
Yeah. the focus of us right now is on the DSP side of things, right? So we're not carrying the full line of the standalone amplifiers right now.
Okay.
But definitely something that we're going to be looking forward into the future. Definitely something we have the availability. But right now we want to focus on the DSP and the integrated DSP side of thing, as well as like the perfect pairing, I should say, for the amps. You know what I mean? Which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But yeah, you're absolutely not right. Like I can't really explain the fit and finish of this product. Even, you know, I will talk about it when we kind of open up the Tune 12 and stuff.
I mean, it looks small, first and foremost.
See it?
They look really small. I can't wait to throw it to the mesh. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun because I'm excited to get into it. But, you know, where should we start? Because we got.
Well, you know what? We actually have a little video. The video is kind of cool. It's about 3.5 minutes long. It talks a little bit about who Musway is. Shows off a couple of the products, more that we'll cover in depth here. And it shows a little bit of the graphical user interface, or GUI, that everyone says when it comes down to the DSPs part.
All right, let's roll that.
All right, ship it.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Bro, that app though.
Yeah.
So
Nifty.
let me get this right. I saw the GUI. I know you're going to talk about the GUI, but the first question I have out of that video is, does that app do everything that the GUI does?
Yep. Yeah, you can. It's all done in a different paned window, but yeah, you can do all the same functions. A little bit more fancy looking, maybe a little less intense, I guess, on the app than on the GUI. The one thing that I actually forgot to mention is Musway actually started out building lossless audio playback devices, right, for home. Right.
Oh, it's got its roots in home. We didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that's where it came from, was kind of the lossless audio reproduction playback, and then kind of moved into the automotive side, which is cool. I mean, which is cool. Like, it stands for music is the way, and
Music is the way.
That's their motto, which is funny, but it's pretty cool.
All right, let's dive into some product, Justin. Stop keeping me waiting here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess so. The first thing we'll talk about is our D8. So that's this thing right here. So that's the sound perf right here. All right. So this is an 8-channel amplifier with a 10-channel DSP inside of it. First thing you guys are going to notice is, obviously, once again, fit and finish, machined aluminum housing. It's got onboard fan. And one thing that I really like is kind of the locking Molex connectors that you'll see on that side. Molex style connectors for all your inputs and outputs. Now it's pretty cool because this piece itself will carry, it has the intelligent high level air protection in it. So if there's a resistance based monitoring system in your OEM vehicle, it will kind of let it know that there's resistance on the line, prevent the channel from turning on. It's start stop ready, down to almost 6 volts. It's got the auto turn on. It's a really, really, really nice little amp. It's about 8 by 75 at 2 ohms, 8 by 50 at 4. Not a ton of power, but I mean, when you're getting into a high-level multi-channel system with something like this, it makes it really easy.
I'm going to comment. So just based on the other offerings that are in the market right now, that's kind of where these 8-channel multi-channel amplifiers with DSP are as far as power ratings are concerned. I've seen from 60-ish to like 80-ish, so you're right in there. Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, Class D, it has its limits, right? And due to the size of this 8-channel amplifier, there is going to be power limits. There's going to be heat issues, right? So this is what this amp can comfortably do and comfortably be 100% reliable in this type of footprint. Right, so that's where this kind of restriction is. Now, the other cool thing about this is it does have 2 preamplifier outputs. Like I said, there is a full 10-channel DSP in here, right? And when you take this and you pair it with this is a 200 RMS mono. Little 2-channel amplifier, I should say, not mono. This is our P2 amplifier, which is really cool, but this is designed to be in conjunction with this. That's what this thing comes from, right? And this will give you, it has 2 stereo RCA inputs. It'll give you 210 RMS bridge at 4 on the rear. Now, the cool thing about this little amplifier is the only kind of, the only option that you have in this is the input sensitivity. So there's no filter settings in this at all because it's designed to be run in conjunction with the DSP that would do the filtering there. So all you're getting is pure amplification. It's a little 20 amp fuse. It's really, really tiny, right? And once again, the kind of fit and finish, same thing, machined aluminum housing, full kind of chassis heat sink. It's got the inputs on it. It's just really pretty stuff. And then jumping down from the D8, we'll keep this little mono. You get something to here, which is like our M6. So you'll notice it's actually a little bit bigger than the D8 or the 8-channel. And that's just because of, like we said, Class D, it's going to have a little bit more power. So this one is going to be about 6 by 105 at 2. And then it's going to be bridgeable at 4 ohms, 3 by 200. It has 6 high level or 6 low level. It has 2 aux inputs. It has an optical input. And the same thing, it's built-in 6-channel Class D amplifier with an 8-channel DSP. right? It's going to have all the same features that you're going to have in the D8 when it's coming down to like soft clipping. It's going to have start stop ready. It's going to be intelligent error protection system, all that kind of thing. It uses, dual 32-bit processors. It could go on and on and on about the stats of this. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to us or check the website itself. The same thing it's going to have as well is the terminal quick connects, which I like, the lock-in quick connect terminal, making serviceability super easy should you run into a problem. Or just kind of going through there.
Hey, Justin.
Yes.
Could you show me the 6 and the 8 side by side?
Sure.
I just noticed something I want to ask you about here. All right, so that would be the 6. The M6. 6-channel power, 8-channel DSP.
Yeah, and this is an 8-channel DSP, 10-channel DSP, 8-channel amplifier.
It's interesting. It's a totally different design. There are no fins on the side of the 8-channel.
Correct, but the 8-channel, so the 6 looks like this with populated on both sides of connections, whereas the 10-channel is all done on the one side with a built-in fan.
I see. Therefore, not needing.
Right, so that's the difference in the heat dissipation on that one. So that's it. And then, so we do have a 4-channel, a 6-channel, and then that 8-channel when it comes into the built-in amp and DSP combos. I have been hearing whispers from Musway of either a 12-channel amplifier with 16 channels of DSP or a 10-channel with 12. So I don't have, that's just like floating in the wind. I don't have anything I can confirm on that. I have no ETA. I don't know if it's actually happening, but I know they are working on something big, which is really cool. The other thing is all of the amps and the DSPs do have the USB port, the micro USB port, and so far the optical. And they also do have the port for their controller. So this is the little controller, the DRC one right here. Guys, and this thing is cool because it's a full OLED display. It's the same type of fit and finish, black glass on the front, machined aluminum housing, little detented knob, and it's very, very small. So this is here it is right there. And like I said, when you see a cell phone, this is where that goes. Right, so super tiny, super easy to flush into a vehicle. Whether it's Velcro, 2-side tape, or you want to hard mount it, anything you want to do. Push for source menu selection, volume control, all that kind of thing. The other thing too is obviously this will allow you, depending on what model, you can have up to 6 presets. So however many presets your heart's desire. It's really, really exciting. And, Ben, when we talked about this, and you're going to kind of hear me keep going back and forth, and I'm talking about Musway as a whole and the whole presentation of the product, where it sits dollar value, the offerings of the product itself, where it sits in feature sets are really all top notch. But I just want to, if you don't mind, I want to grab our 12-channel DSP, which is really nice. So this is standalone. It's not amplified, but I just kind of want to show everyone when I talk about the fit and finish here. So this is our Tune 12. Okay, so you're going to notice matte black box, which is obviously really classy with the UV style ink with the semi-gloss front. The first thing you're going to notice when you pick up this box is it's got nice weight to it. It's going to have multilingual kind of language specs on the back. But if this sits in a glass case or if this sits somewhere on your shelf, it's something that is really attractive and kind of appealing. Then moving on from there, we'll talk about the actual product. When you pick it up down and you open it up, all right, so first thing you're going to get is this kind of like created for you flap that's just going to kind of allow you to move forward into it. So presentation wise, here you go again. You're going to get your Tune 12 kind of instruction manual. If you're going to see, this is just an inspected for quality control card. So that means QC passed because they're all individually inspected at the factory. Then here you're going to get a nice foam cover. And then here is the product itself. right? So the Tune 12 is really unique, as in it's absolutely beautiful, probably the nicest processor out on the market in terms of aesthetics. So if you're doing one of those trunk builds or something, this is definitely a processor you want to show. You're going to have all your accessories in the bottom here. I'll just go ahead and pull this out. All right, so this is our Tune 12.
It's a pretty piece, Justin. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, so same thing. The brushed aluminum housing. All right, you're going to notice vents on both sides for cooling. The cool, unique thing about this is the actual entire top of this is a piece of glass. This is black glass, which is nice. The Musway logo itself illuminates up, just making it really, really, really nice, you know, aesthetically when it comes down to it. Now, the way that it works is on this side, you're going to have all your inputs. So you're going to have your USB, you're going to have, micro USB, mini USB, I should say, USB. This is for your controller, your optical input, digital coax. You're going to have all your high-level inputs here, and then your power and ground. Now, the one thing that I want to try and show you here that I really like is if you notice, there's 2 screw terminals on each side of this input connector. So that means when this connector goes in and you screw it in and you tighten the screws, it's fully locked in, which means if you're driving around a bumpy road, you're not going to be worried about anything coming loose. You're going to be worried about anything coming kind of out. And that's just kind of one of the steps that Musway took that I really, really appreciate, because they make these DSPs to be really, really, really functional and really, really dependable. On the other side, you're going to notice the plethora of RCA outputs, as well as your input sensitivity, output sensitivity, and kind of auxiliary sensitivity, depending on what input you're using, right? So those are your adjustments here, as well as all your RCAs out here.
The auxiliary input, Justin, is that for like a Bluetooth adapter or something, or?
Yeah, so it has the it has one auxiliary RCA input. So if you have some sort of high-res streaming that goes to like a preamp out style thing, you can put it in there, or you can also use something, once again, extremely pretty, like this.
Oh, what's that?
All right, so this is the BTS HD. So this is the high definition Bluetooth streaming piece. Now there is a piece called the BTA, which will allow you to do the Bluetooth streaming and the app control. All right, so just depending on what you're looking for, if you're one of those people that wants the high res, Bluetooth streaming, this is going to be your place, but you're not going to be able to do that app control. If you want both, you're going to use the BTA that will do the streaming and the app control, but a little bit lower resolution on the streaming. But the same thing, you're going to notice this kind of out through the whole lineup, is that kind of brushed aluminum housing with the black glass front end, just really emulating the quality and the touchy feel of this. Now, when we get into this DSP as per like what's actually in it, the nice thing about it is that this will actually do up to 20 volt RMS high level. So it's got 6 high level inputs and 8 low level RCA inputs. Now, what's nice about that is you can actually use both of them at the same time. Right? So you can't do 14 channels of input, right? But if you have high-powered woofers and a low-level speaker system in your factory amplifier, you can use the combination of whatever you need into there. It's also got the intelligent high-level input air protection system. It's start-stop ready. It uses Burr Brown and Texas Instrument chipsets, so analog devices, ADDAs. It's not the price point of this. Don't let it determine kind of shy you away and think that it's just because it's not as expensive as a lot of the other ones on the market, that it's a lesser product, because I promise you it's not. And I promise you your start to finish on this is exactly kind of where you would expect something of much high dollar value to be.
It's been getting a lot of praise from a couple of the media outlets out in Europe for outstanding value. DSP realm. It has Musway, the company itself, the products that they have so many like car hi-fi top best in class awards,
going on right now. It's all in German, so I can't read it to you.
That's fine. I see Jay Vonder just gave a shout out. What's up, Jay? Good to hear from you.
What's going on?
I'd like to know what you think of this product and what Justin is saying about this product, something that you'd like to try. So if you want to give some feedback, that'd be great. All right.
Yeah. So like I said, we have a couple select dealers that would that have used it, and it's been pretty exciting so far. And it does up to 6.5 volts out on the RCA output side, right? So
so it's got a line driver as well.
Yeah, pretty much. It is a high power DSP, and it does a lot for the dollars on it. And I can't say enough about the product itself, the reliability, the fit and the finish. Like I said, anyone who's willing to step out of their kind of comfort zone and venture into this way, you won't be disappointed. The second you receive the box in your store and you check it out and you're like, there's not really much like this.
Adam's check is saying it's great looking product.
Yeah.
Marty, have you tried it yet? Let me know. Put us in the comment, or if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in.
And then, so, I could go on talking about the DSPs and all this, like the 6 to 8 channel DSP, who is just the baby brother, looks a little bit more like the D8, more kind of square aluminum. I don't actually have one here because I'm sold out of them at the moment. More arriving kind of every day. We all know what that's like with stock right now. We're doing our best to keep it all in kind of in stock and doing what we can. And then, do you have any questions so far, Ben?
Well, I got Marty saying that he has got one going in next week. So Marty, please post that, send it to us. We'd love to share that build as we always do. And I'd love to hear your feedback on how this Musway product works out.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been pretty cool. It's the lineup itself is very robust. Like you said, if you go onto their website and check it out, you will notice they actually do a full line of speakers as well. And the kind of OEM style integration harnesses. Sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect between a lot of the European vehicles manufactured in Europe and sold in Europe and what's available in Canada or North America.
What do you know about that, Justin?
I unfortunately deal with that quite a bit. Just certain trim levels don't come here. You know what I mean? In Europe, BMW and Mercedes are taxi cabs, in Germany. And there's this trim level that's available that a lot of them don't come here. So Musway's done a really good job at adapting those kind of OEM plug and play harnesses for that. But we're just kind of waiting for a little bit further, more kind of R&D with them. Pushing those forward before we're doing the whole full line of harnesses, right? So we just want to make sure that it's going to be contingent with the vehicles that we have here, so we're not letting dealers down in any way.
Very best. Yep, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about? So you mentioned it at the top of the show, and I'm going to bring it to you because if you weren't going to bring it up, I have no choice on behalf of the shops to bring this up. What about usability, user interface? Is it complex? Do I need a rocket engineering degree to be able to tune this DSP?
Is it like Moscone? No.
Oh. Well, I will say that there are many different interfaces out there. Some of them are kind of similar. Maybe they use the same platforms. I'm not sure how all that works, but I will say that there are different interfaces built for different type of minds to be more effective. I'll put it that way.
The graphical user, we'll do a little walkthrough on the GUI on this one. The graphical, if anyone's ever used the Ground Zero DSP, I believe they're both kind of based on the old Sigma Studio software, so it's very similar. The nice thing about this kind of GUI is that it's all done on one page. All right, so you bring it up, it's all in your face, everything you need to do.
Okay.
All right. They're doing a bit of a redesign on it right now for a new release, but it's going to be very, very similar to exactly what it is right now. That's the one thing that's cool is they do listen to their dealers. For example, right now their harnesses do not have RCA ends on the outer one for low level, right? They're all designed for high level input, right? So it's really cool when, we've actually had a conversation with Steven in the States that says, hey, Justin, what are your thoughts? Should we change these harnesses to always include the RCA ends on the ends so that our dealers can just cut them off than rather to have them resolder them on if they're using low level? And I said, Steve, that's a hell of an idea, right? That's just going to make it easier. I would much rather have to cut something off than to have to reattach it. Right?
I was going to ask you that because I noticed that the part with the screws, there's no RCA ins on those DSP integrated amplifiers.
No. No, it's all done through the harness, right?
So does that harness come in the box or no?
Yep. The harness comes in the box. It's what's
okay.
in the bottom there with all the stuff. It's just the locking connector, which is really nice. And it just comes out to a pigtail.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, it's like I said, it's really cool to deal with a company like that takes, installers' ideas and installers, theories behind it into consideration on the product. And being that, the guys that we have work so close with Musway itself, the need to force a change is something that's really possible, which is not really likely with a lot of people, right? Or a lot of brands. So that's what's kind of cool about having a newer brand that's kind of coming to North America that really does value dealer input.
Important if they want to succeed.
Totally.
And,
all right.
And maybe this is a part of another conversation, but I'm going to say that the Canadian market there are quite a few big differences to the American market, especially when it comes to preferences and trends.
Totally. There's actually a huge difference between Western Canada and Eastern Canada as well. Agreed. When I was traveling the country visiting dealers in 2019, and DSP had almost become this form of necessity in BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. And then I moved to when I visited Toronto.
You're like DSP what?
And and Ontario and Manitoba, or Montreal, Quebec and Atlantic Canada, they were just on the cusp of DSP. They, they were the excitement for DSP was there, which is really, really cool, right? So I think the country itself is now becoming a lot more unified in terms of DSP is now much more widely
maybe accepted. Because there's a new platform that's come about in the last year that's been really trying to connect all the dealers and manufacturers and distributors in Canada through webcasts. And
the mobile electronics episodes. Yeah, I saw those.
Maybe. Thanks, Justin.
Just joking. No, you guys have been doing. I mean, these shows, I would definitely say have saved us through COVID. And you and I touched on it a bit today. We're all craving those shows, and we're craving this interaction. And I mean, it's unfortunate. I can show you how nice this product is on screen all day long, but until you get the chance.
Well, I want to sit in a car with you and see you tune it and hear the difference as it happens live. That's what I want to do. It's going to happen soon enough. Yeah. Soon enough. Okay. Sure. Sorry, we went off track a little bit. We're talking about the GUI.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to share my screen, I'll just kind of show you what the graphical user interface looks like.
All right. Let's look at this. Thanks, Ricky. Thanks, Marty, for the shout out.
All right. So this is it. So typical Musway colors, black and orange. Okay.
Black and orange. Sorry.
Yeah. Really simple. You can see here, I just have the Tune 12 selected. So when you select the software, it brings up a checkbox. You kind of say M6, M6 Plus, D8, whatever you're using, and it'll kind of.
Is it the same software for all the devices, whether standalone or integrated?
Yeah, it will be.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, it will be. So the first thing that you're going to notice here is your kind of parametric EQ that you have up here, all your channels on the bottom, and then some stuff here. So right up here, it's going to let you configure your source, high level, auxiliary, Bluetooth, optical, low level, or digital coax. So whatever you select here is going to kind of show up at the bottom. Here would be your high level mixing. All right. So here's where you would, high level input 1. If you want high level 1 to go to channel 1, it would be here. If you want it mixed between channel 2 of high level 1 and 2, you'd go here. If you want to sum with 1, 3, and 6.
I was going to ask, so it does sum as well.
Yep. Okay. It'll all be done right here. If you want high level 1 to be on your auxiliary 1 output, or if you want aux 1 to be mixed in, or optical, left, right, whatever you need, you can do all the mixing. Here, which is also nice, it will let you adjust input volumes. I hope my computer doesn't freeze. There we go. So here's all the input volumes for all your input sources.
Where's the time correction?
I'll show you time correction. So they've made it very easy on this. The time correction is automatic on the delay. So it's right here. When you see delay calculator, all it's asking for is the unit in centimeters from the speaker to the listening position. That's
okay, so it's measurement.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is not a microphone-based tuning system.
No, this is not. And it will do the delay calculation. Now, one of the issues that you'll often see with DSPs is when it comes to the delay or a delay calculator built inside the DSP, sometimes it can be confusing. Sometimes it could want the difference between the speakers in inches or centimeters. Sometimes it could want the distance from the listener to the speaker position, etc. And then other times it'll just want the millisecond delay, right? There's all those options. So this one's fairly simple. I believe the newer version will just have the ability to input the milliseconds if you calculate it yourself. I'm kind of the old school guy. I like to take the difference in the speaker from the furthest point, divided by the speed of sound, and that gives me my millisecond delay per speaker. That's just the way that I do it. I do it on a piece of paper. This is definitely probably way more convenient, more efficient and time consuming, but that was my method. That's kind of what, I was taught, and that's just the way that I use it. So that's where this is. Over here, you have your filters by channel. So whatever channel, obviously, you select, you can set your stuff here. You can also do any kind of form of linking if you want to link your channels right here and make your changes, right? The other thing, too, is if you're bridging a channel, you can click the BTL load here, and that will automatically change the settings to link anything that you bridged, right? So if you're running the D8 and you've bridged channels, 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 to run mid-bass woofers, this is going to do there, and it'll apply all the corrections right here and let you know that you have the BTL loaded.
Does this software or interface have any kind of like pre-loaded settings that could help the novice tuner out by kind of?
That it doesn't.
Okay. So this is definitely an involved system, like you mentioned earlier, and RTA required.
Correct, and that's kind of what I said. When it comes down to the software and the basis of Musway, this I do not in any way want to say that this is a system that's designed for experts, because it's not. This is a system that is designed for the installer or the user to have a basic concept knowledge, or the A to DSP in the bag, right? Which means that the shop itself is going to be required to have the tools. They're going to be required to have an RTA. They're going to be required to have a laser measure or a tape measure. And they're going to... What?
Nobody uses a string anymore?
Or a string, whatever. But they're also going to have it all comes down to this. I can select a generic setting that says 2.1 or, 4-channel input, 8-channel output, but that's still, even if that setting is there, I need to have the fundamental understanding of what 4 channels are going in there. Why is it mixing? Why is it summing? And that all comes down to the ABC DSP part, right? Because I need to know what channel's playing what frequency range, where its cutoff is, you know what I mean? And then what kind of filters are on it, in order to be able to progress forward in the industry or with the DSP. If I get into a vehicle that, you've heard Ken and Andy and everyone talk about the dreaded all-pass filters, and I'm trying to time align this, I don't have a low-level, I don't have a preamp available for it to give me a flat signal, I'm just going to create a dumpster fire, right? If the fundamental only things that I can do in that car, because of the filters applied by that, aftermarket amplifier are EQ and some gain settings, and that's where I stay, right? And that's where this kind of gives you the thing. But at the end of the day, you still have to have that fundamental knowledge before you get into, in my opinion, any DSP, no matter how easy it is, no matter what kind of things it has, if it has an auto level or an auto EQ or an auto tune or an RTA or a center channel development, no matter up mixer, whatever it is, if you don't have those beginning fundamentals, you're just hurting yourself, plain and simple.
So that leads me to my next question. I'm a dealer. Yes. I'm interested in getting into it. I like it. This looks sexy. The price point is going to attract me for sure. I don't currently sell anything like this in my lineup. How can you support me from a BB Musway Canada perspective, from training and DSP knowledge?
So thank God for this thing called the internet during COVID. We have always based ourselves with Focal, with Ground Zero, with Sound Digital, with Powerbase, with all the other brands we have. We are heavily involved when it comes down to training. That is my original title, is National Trainer.
Oh, I did get it right.
Right? Whether it is based on product, installation, or implementation, or even DSP, we have so many different options, and we have this connected world now, right? Which means I can do a live DSP training with somebody in Moncton. I can have Bentley at Audio Crew say, hey, I want to, can you walk me through this? Can we do this? Can we sit down?
And Bentley's pretty good. He knows his stuff, man. I was just talking to him
Totally.
the other day.
He's awesome. Right?
He's probably the top tuner in the East.
But that ability, right, is so cool and so fluid now that my advice for any dealer is listen, any distributor out there is going to be doing their best to train and teach dealers, right? Any dealer that wants to jump on board. So, if Musway is a thing, we can set something up. If you're unsure, we can do it. If you want to walk through of the GUI, do it. If I have to tune a car remotely with you, we can figure it out. There are dealers that call me and ask for help. I'm not saying I'm the best tuner in the world. It's not my thing. I'm lucky enough to have spent a significant amount of time with Andy and with Ken and all that kind of thing. So especially with Nick Wingate, through our events and other events. And, when events get going back, you can see there's a steady increase. I mean, at our last BB Expo, our DSP, we had Todd Ramsey there talking about DSP tuning and training. And, we had classrooms throughout the entire expo, but the DSP training was held in the ballroom, right? For a reason, because that is where our industry is it's moving, like period, right? It's getting harder and harder to integrate with OEM vehicles. There's 26 speaker Bose Panerai. There's 36 speaker Escalades. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And but I think that's also goes to and I'm not saying aftermarket or OEM systems are shit, because they're not. There's so much R&D by people way smarter than me that go into these vehicles, but they're all there's restrictions. The speaker can only weigh this much. We only have these places. It also needs to cost under this much, right? Like those are the restrictions, right? And we kind of bypass those restrictions in the aftermarket world when we take this speaker and we put it somewhere it doesn't fit. We build a custom panel. We angle it a certain way, which is the exciting, but it still is all getting down to that point where it requires knowledge, expertise, and DSP to move forward. Plain and simple. That's how the industry is going.
Well answered. Okay, so we're down to a couple minutes. I want to have some fun with you. Yeah, I think we've learned. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've gone through the gambit. We talked about the story. We went through the main products. We talked about the accessories, and we even talked about the GUI a little bit and DSP in general training. Okay, I want to have some fun with Justin Bond. In your lineup, BB, you're building a car.
Yep.
Integrating Musway in there, what would be a really slick setup right now for, let's call it a BMW 3 Series?
Like, are we looking for OEM style drop-in replacement, or are we balls to the wall?
Let's start with the OEM style, because that's very, a lot of dealers can relate to that.
Okay, so I mean, if I'm doing OEM drop-in for BMW right now, I would do all focal inside stuff, plain and simple, designed to run off the factory amp. And if the harness was available from Musway, I would just use the D8 and plug it in. And ship it and send it.
Oh, perfect. Easy enough. Now, balls to the wall.
So obviously, I would start off with either Utopia M or something I mean, if it's balls to the wall, Utopia M or like Ground Zero plutonium style speakers. I would definitely jump in on the minimum Ground Zero uranium amplifiers, move up to the SQ plutonium. I mean, or like I said, if it's getting serious crazy, the reference Sirius amps. And then I'd be using Tune 12s for all my channels.
So you would put in the reference amps, Ground Zero.
Yep.
DSP would come via the Tune 12.
Yep.
And obviously you'd say Utopia M's all around. Oh, we just get a comment here. Did I just open it? Oh, go big. Somebody said go big. Yeah, we're going big. I don't know if you can go bigger than can you go bigger than Utopia M or references? I mean, geez.
Yeah.
That's worth more than the car. Almost,
totally.
Depending on what year the car is.
Here's the thing. In Vancouver and Toronto, there's a lot of money. All right.
Yeah, there is.
And people spend a ton of money on home audio. Mm-hmm. And they enjoy it. They like to go and they like to sit in their 2-channel rooms, and they like their headphones and they like that kind of stuff. But in Toronto and Vancouver, you pretty much spend as much time driving your car as you do sitting at home or going to work.
Well, Vancouver at a stoplight or stop sign, and Toronto on the 401.
Correct. There you go. Montreal's not very good either.
Montreal, you're just avoiding potholes, so your mind is somewhere
Correct,
else.
because of construction. Always
construction everywhere.
Construction holiday.
Potholes the size of small vehicles. But anyhow, yes.
Right? So that love and that passion for music doesn't change where you are. Right? No one says, "Oh, I don't like concerts. I like to sit in my house and listen to live music."
No, nobody says that. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
So no one says, "Oh, yeah, I don't really like listening to music in a car. I only like to listen to it in my 2-channel at home." So it's like, at the end of the day, if you have that ability with the products that BB Distribution offers to bring that love of music, that passion of audio, that sound into a car, like, why wouldn't you? I mean, obviously there's going to be a budget factor, but with the brands that we carry, with the solutions Musway offers, with the price points it's at,
okay,
people shouldn't always be making things about price, I guess, right?
Budget DSP system for a sedan.
For me?
Yeah, like you're building a budget. You have a customer who's coming in. He's he hasn't had a sound system since he was in the 90s. Yeah. A lot of people fall in that category right now. They're like, "Oh man, I want to get a system in. I've got like my
budget.
Whatever.
I would do a decent set of 3-ways. The M6 run fully active, and then 2 of the little P2 monos, and that would all fit under a seat.
No DSP? I said DSP though.
The M6.
Oh, the M6, so the 6-channel
with 8-channel DSP.
Okay, and you'd run 2 of those small guys. They're not monos, right? They're stereos, but you run a mono. Got it.
Yeah. I'd run it mono to 2 woofers, small woofers.
In a box, and away you go.
Yeah, and then take up no space.
But
good dollar.
But how about, now this is my last question. Let's take the 8-channel, for example. If I bridge the 2 channels, how much water is that enough for like a 10, or would you recommend definitely going with the separate?
I would recommend for a subwoofer using an external amplifier.
Okay.
I mean, you could do it. It's not the greatest. I would definitely use it for.
What if it was an 8, a small 8, just a little?
Depends on where the location was. If it was under the seat or something, sure.
All right, but you do recommend. Yeah.
No.
So you're saying that the 8-channel or 6-channel, for that matter, is really engineered for the full range speakers.
Yes, totally.
Okay, fair enough. That's what I kind of wanted to know, because I get that question a lot. Like, oh, I'm just going to pull off one system, and then everybody's like, not sure you're going to be happy with that bridged power. It's not really meant for that. And I just want to see if there's the same thing with Musway. And I think that has a lot to do with the design, the footprint, and the Class D amplification. Correct,
right? There are always going to be certain restrictions, and size is one of them. And with size comes heatsink size and
et cetera.
Thermal dissipation, right? So,
well, I'll tell you what, Justin, I think we did a good job introducing everybody who tuned in or who's watching this on demand about the Musway brand. It's now available in Canada through BB Distribution. We'll go ahead and throw up the digits one more time. Make sure you get a hold of them. bbdistribution.ca. Call him. Yeah, absolutely. 1-800-279-0633. Oh God, you do those still play? I don't even know.
I don't know. I remember them. Good old
when
channel.
You call me, pick up. Anyways, yeah, cool, man. It's slick, it's sleek, it's new, and sometimes new. There's a lot of value to new. It's getting some rave reviews out in Europe. It's in US now and Canada. And BB is focusing on the DSP and the integrated DSP stuff and the accessories. Justin, did we miss anything?
No.
I think we nailed it, brother. I think we nailed it. Thank you so much again, Mr. Bond. It's always a pleasure. It's always a learning session with you, and
totally,
we'd love to circle back with you on this in a couple of months to see what the feedback's been from dealers. And tuning in, let us know.
Like I said, we're pretty new. Normally, I know you like to try and have a dealer on now, but it's just, getting our bearings, getting running, going forth. So I've really got to get these guys to get some time and some experience in with it before I kind of have a testimony. But 100%. I have no doubt in my mind that, you can't say a single bad thing about it.
Marty Adamczyk has promised that he will get back to us once he puts this in to see what his initial reaction or his first, feeling about this amp is. Cool.
Awesome.
Justin, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben. Have a great day. Thanks again to all you guys for doing that. And thanks again to anyone watching.
Yeah, awesome. Take care, Justin.
See ya.
Bye-bye. There you have it, folks. Another really cool session. Musway. Music is the way. Distributed by BB Distribution. Hey, thanks for tuning in. This draws an end to our midweek lunchtime learning session. We'll be back on Friday with yet another one. Next time we'll have Vox Electronics and some of their new power accessories. Very interesting. I do recommend you tune in Lots to learn on that one. It's a brand new category, brand new product that we're going to be talking about. So that's it. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Thanks for tuning in. CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. Until next time, we connect.